I think it's an advantage to be an immigrant myself. I know what it's like when people judge you on your accent. It makes you feel insecure, and I share that with the learners that I've had over the years.
Her nature is that of being very inclusive and understanding that in the workplace there is a need for a certain cultural literacy, and knowing that you don't have to be perfect with your language to go out into their new world and experience life and fun. She models that and is so very sensitive to the needs of her students.
If you work with your learner, it's not about what you want to teach them. It's very much about finding out what they need the most at that time. I'm not a teacher, I'm a tutor, and that is closer to a friend than it is to being a teacher.
She didn't teach me only language. She taught me like life. She taught me how to be happy, how to change mind. She's very positive. Now everything's good. I changed, even my thinking.
And I think that's what you experience, that language is part of showing who you are.
Sometimes I depressed, but she cheered me and she actually helped me. Thanks to her, I can adopt this life. And sometimes I get some brave or some confidence.
Talk about something your learner is struggling with, and that light goes on. You can see it happening in their eyes. That, I think, is my most rewarding moment.
People know me for a lot of different things in the community, so it could be the publisher at Rapid Growth, or it could be the Community Relations Commission, where I became the first queer chair in their history, or maybe the Grand Rapids Pride Center, where I'm their board president.
Tommy is a soul that is warm and lovely and caring and funny.
We often become very siloed or entrenched in groups, and that somehow we have to surrender our identity to become part of the whole of society, when really that's so far from the truth. Any conversation around diversity and inclusion is really how really unique and wonderful each individual is.
He loves getting to know people in a meaningful way. He loves sitting with people and hearing their stories. He is one of the most prolific connectors I have ever seen. He's always part of something bigger than himself, and that's a place that so many people have a longing to be.
Everybody can walk into a room and you can bring an agenda of things that you need to have, but that agenda is going to be more greatly served in our society, and this is something queer people know really well through building allies or building bridges to one another. And so I think cultural literacy in this sense helps us understand more fully who our citizens are, but also the complexity of each individual.
His last few years working with the city of Grand Rapids and head of the commission, he has been stalwart with regard to the protection and advocacy of rights of all.
A lot of times people don't realize he's quietly helping to lend his voice and be an ally in a lot of different areas. So he also encourages and tries to mentor other people to be just as loud as he is.
Tommy really fundamentally believes in inclusion and shared power, and I think that comes out in the way that he leads the Community Relations Commission. So he works really hard to make sure that everybody's voice is heard.
He has that unique ability of being able to listen, to support, and to digest for a variety of audiences. The man has no fear.
It's really about just showing up in your life, showing up for others, listening, taking time to think about and ask questions what is being said to you so we better understand one another.
The Literacy Center is an exceedingly important organization, and because Tommy has this great ability to connect with any and all, it's a perfect award. He is so deserving of a Community Engagement Award.
Part of engagement is that it's not just you being involved, but you pushing people to be involved too.
Tommy Allen lives and breathes community engagement.
After all these years, I can honestly say something is working. I mean, I'm here. I mean, All of us are here. When it comes to community engagement, you can do it at any level. And every level you do it at, you're going to have an impact just by showing up. So why not show up for the future?
This is our corporate headquarters for Butterball Farms. I started working here when I was 12 years old. What kept coming back to me was this vast difference between my experience of going home to my house that I grew up in and really not ever needing anything. And then working with people who were making choices between transportation and clothing for their kids. My dad actually said to me that he didn't think I had what it takes to run a business. And part of it was because I had too soft of a heart. But if he had wanted a different outcome for me, he should never have put me in a plant as a 12-year-old.
I wanted to get economic literacy into the classroom. I had this idea, if I ask Mark Peters if he would be interested. Mark listened to me and he stepped up to the plate. He takes the time to look at every student, to know their name, and to find out something about them. So there's a real tight connection that I don't think is a normal. It's above and beyond.
This is one of Mark's strengths, is that as a leader, he understands what it means to be a business, but he also understands what it means to be in a community. He understands that if we don't do something now, when kids are in elementary school, and 10 to 15 years when they're looking for jobs, they may not have the skill sets that we need.
So there's all of these social problems that we all experience or we read about, and one of the root causes is a lack of literacy. So being a part of the Literacy Center, I really started to understand the impact of low literacy in our community and the importance for focusing on literacy in adults. Adult literacy hides under the surface because people learn to cope. But the real problem occurs with the English speakers that just aren't literate enough to really participate in our economy. Most of us go day in and day out not realizing that that's an issue because it doesn't affect us. So trying to navigate the complexities of what we've come to in our society today, healthcare plans. If they're renting property, they've got to deal with a lease. And if you're not literate at the proper level, you're gonna be like, I need a place to live, and you just sign it. And then you end up in financial trouble because you had no idea what you were signing. I would love it if we could get the Literacy Center to the point where we are funded enough that we could start doing some research so that we can have a much greater impact on the causes of low literacy in adults.
One of the things he's taught me is that the ability to invest in something now, understanding the impact later, is going to be important, and that businesses need to think long term. He's been instrumental in helping other businesses understand the importance of literacy in our community. And if we don't participate now, we're actually hurting ourselves in the future.
He knows that he can make a difference, and he chooses to make that difference. And I know that it cost him, but he's willing to do it. And he's done it faithfully for 20 years. So it's just who he is.
I'm honored and I'm a bit humbled, and I kind of tried to reject it because my work's not done yet. And I said, wait until I decide to be done before you give me this award. I love what the Literacy Center does, and I love the way that they go about doing it. And I'm proud to be a part of the organization.